lot of fun with Antigone. There's so much to consider. And with dramatic poetry, one is able to confront issues of existential moment in our lives in a way that we feel the urgency in our bones, as it were. And Sophocles is such a great dramatic artist. He's able to make what looks like a philosophical proposition, right? I mean, is it the case that our duty to family and a higher law trumps the order that is imposed in a state? In this play, we have a series of debates that enact what we know Athenian tragedy did, which was to help educate the populace in the ways of democracy. In other developments, with the rise of the sophists, with the rise of philosophy, we have developments that only make sense in terms of Athens' supreme place in the Greek-speaking world in the 5th century after the defeat of the Persians. We have this experiment in radical democracy that's going on in the century. When the Battle of Salamis, which was so decisive in getting rid of the Persian threat, that massive Athenian navy, which required tens of thousands of rowers in their triremes. Well, most of those were citizen soldiers, as it were, and that meant that this military might of Athens and the growth of democracy went hand in hand. Okay, so if the whole political ethos of a polis is centered around thousands of people deliberating in assembly, the arts of rhetoric practiced by the sophists, the arts of dialectic practiced by philosophers, and then this way of trying to understand the action of our lives in terms of intelligible wholes, what the tragedians present. These are all parts of an education that a citizen needs in order to carry out the democratic responsibility well. And all the more, I think, in our day and age, if we want as Americans to revive political responsibility, to reclaim something of what it means to be an active republic, I think drama is essential, and certainly these tragedians do something that we have to listen to. So the play itself progresses with debates. You have the debate that opens it with Antigone and Ismene, and so on. You've got that masterpiece of Haemon, the son of Creon, trying to convince his father to reconsider his edict. And so we learn how to deliberate by watching these characters. And beyond that, there are these problematic themes, right? If the family is the thing that trumps the state, if somehow piety can be divorced from justice, if one lines up piety more with duties one fulfills towards one's family, and justice is something that's more seen in the political reality. I mean, if there's an actual cleavage between piety and justice, then we're in trouble, and that's what a tragedy would kind of indicate, right? If piety and justice don't really work out together in real life, that means there's going to be a lot of unhappiness in life, and maybe that's why there's unhappiness in life. I mean, that's part of the question that the tragedians raise, right? We all deal with very difficult passages in our lives, and the question is, why is it that things don't work out right? Why is there a mismatch between the thing we know to be reasonably the best way, right, that the just flourish and the unjust don't, for instance? Why does that not happen, right? That's the subject matter that tragedy is putting before us. So we have in this confrontation, it seems as if Antigone has every argument on her side, but it's problematized, right, throughout the play. and I don't think there's actually a pat answer. Sophocles is the preeminent playwright of that, one of the greatest ages of drama, for a reason. It's because he doesn't have pat answers. But what he does is explore each side with a profundity that is unparalleled. Because here we're dealing with the legacy of the Oedipal curse. Polynices and Eteocles, Ismene and Antigone, they're the children born of the union of Oedipus and his mother, Jocasta. On the death of Oedipus, the Eteocles takes the throne of Thebes and does not share, as he had agreed to do, he does not share with his brother Polynices, and that's the source of the civil war. So if one wants to plant one's flag on the sure ground of the oikos, the household, the family, is that good ground, given that the family of Oedipus is a real mess, right? I mean, that's if one wanted to say, well, okay, that makes sense, that duties to family override duties to state. And that's not unreasonable at all. This is not a great family to prove that on, right? It's a messed up family. And in fact, the Civil War had to do with this fratricidal, they kill each other, right? Eteocles and Polynices end up killing each other on the battlefield. Not the best. So that's interesting that Sophocles is using that. Again, I don't think to stack deck for Creon. Creon's mistakes, I think, are something we have to kind of unspool. But is the polis and political order this project of rationality, as we've seen, philosophy is a project of rationality, medicine, the creation of history, as we'll see next week with Herodotus. This project that is new in world history to think through the old ways critically, and to do something that means that can stand according to the measure of logos. Is that rational order? Is it sustainable, given the fact that there are these deep currents? The family represents these deep currents, subterranean forces of what? Loyalty beyond rational self-preservation. There are these forces of eros. There's these forces of generational trauma, that the odes that we see the chorus sing that punctuate the play. We've got this great celebration of humanity's civilizing power, right? The ode to man. But then we have another ode talking about generational trauma. We have another ode talking about eros, is this as we know, right? This insane power that makes us do insane things. And then we have an ode that talks about these wallings up, these immurings, these constraints on women, especially, right? That and to try to understand, where does the liberty of humanity, man, woman, consist? Do you take your stand on the family? Do you take your stand on the rational order of the state? Do the gods actually have this in hand? See, it seems to me that one of the problems with divinity in this Greek world is the gods are kind of caught up in the same familial mess, right? So these are some of the things to think about. One thing I want to note about this translation, which if I realized it, we would have switched. This is the one we used last time. There's this, towards the end, when Antigone is talking about towards the end of scene 4, she's saying, well, if I've done wrong, so she's questioning her course of action. If I've done wrong, well, I'll find out soon enough. But if Creon has done wrong, then let justice be done. But there's a whole section there that's been left out, which is very important. And it's important because it has to do with, it's something that's found in Herodotus. So this is one of those bases of saying that Herodotus and Sophocles were friends. Antigone actually says that she wouldn't have defied the state for the sake of a husband or a child, because those are replaceable. But she couldn't replace her brother. And I think that's an important passage. And I don't know the technical reason why it was left out of here. Maybe because maybe the editor thought that was a Herodotean interpolation or something like that. But I think it's very important actually for the understanding of the play. So,
Question 1. Who is guilty of hubris, Antigone or Creon? Both? Neither? They look at death differently. Can there be peace only in a world in which state law and divine law coincide? Question 2. Is reason authority, force, or civic friendship the strength of state law? How does Haemon's conversion with his father Creon illustrate the conditions of political order? Question number 3. How do the choral odes help us understand that beneath the political order, deeper and darker forces worked their effect? What would a Dionysian politics look like? Question 4. How does the dramatic action of the play elevate the wisdom sayings of the last scene above cliché?